Okay, so welcome for the first video notes for PreCalc. We're going to do this for the topic of base, exponents, and powers. So you can kind of just see the setup and show you the examples there, and then kind of explain the little part of it, and then it continues over here to this side, where then we stop there, and then this is kind of your own practice. So let's go ahead and get started for this. Okay, so this is just making sure we're just reviewing what's a base, what's the next one, and what's a power, and just they're related with this picture right here. I think that's the best way to give an idea of what this is. So the base is the bigger number. It goes there raised to a exponent, to a power, to an exponent, and the whole thing is called a power. Okay, so if you ever see a 3 to the power of 4, that means 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Okay, and this is regarding repeated multiplication. So when you have a exponent, it's repeated multiplication, and then when you have multiplication, that's just repeated addition. Okay, a little bit separate. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Like for these, I give you examples. You're gonna have different bases, and I give you an exponent, and then you're gonna get yours evaluated to the power. So for the first one, it's pretty easy. So the base is 5, okay, and the exponent is 2. So you put it smaller there. Just follow that, and then the meaning of that is 5 times 5, which makes that 25. So that's the answer there for that. So if you have the base and that power, you would get that. Okay, so let me just do the ones that I set up so that you can get a chance to do the other ones, and then that's kind of in part of your practice. So then we'll just help you with some of these here. Okay, so if I have a base -2 and an exponent for 3, that's the setup. So the meaning of that is the fact that this guy gets repeated and multiplied to itself 3 times. So we have that. And then the first two will be multiplied to give you the +4. So this will be +4, okay? And then that still being multiplied to that -2 there. So after that happens, you're going to get a -8 as a result. And that would be the answer for that one. Okay? So when you do to the power of 3, it turns back negative there because of that extra negative at the end. Okay, so you can make sure to figure those out. So same reasoning, same thing. So you have a base and a power. So let's do this one when it includes a letter. So this one is -4x and then raised to the power of 3. So again, we do it similar to the other one where we have to kind of have this 3 times multiplied to itself. Okay. And this one I'll go a little bit faster I won't write it down. So this is going to be -4 times -4, +16 times -4. Okay, so let's go ahead, -16, oh I'm sorry, +16 times -4. So that's going to be -64 for the numbers. And then for the exponent, just x times x times x, you go x to the power of 3. And it would be this, the correct power for that one. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this last one, and then you can fill in the gaps there for the rest of them, and then we'll check the answers later. So for this one, squaring it, so basically twice, it's multiplied to itself twice. This is kind of the setup. 8 times 8 would give you the 64. But y squared times y squared is y to the power of 4. And there you go. Okay, that's the way you would solve these, and it's just pretty straightforward if you can take care of the other ones for your practice, and then we'll get the answers for all those very soon, just to give you an idea of a base and the exponent, and then how to evaluate it as a power. So I want to get into a little bit talking about the square root a little bit. You can read this on your own there. Again, this will go in your notebook. If I didn't say that in the beginning, it's notes and practice. Okay, so all this would be in your notebook, but again, I kind of print it out for you guys so I can show you the notes here. And so I just want you to kind of get to know the fact that square and square root, they're a reverse process of each other, so they undo each other. Okay, And then when you're doing these square roots, there's something called perfect square roots. So some perfect where they're rational, they give you a rational number. And then not perfect. I guess you can call it not perfect, where they give you an irrational number, and then rational number. Okay, so what do I mean by that? So let's do these the beginning here. So what is the value square root of 144? So if you little bit, this is kind of just to give you an idea of the calculator we're gonna get for the class from the office. So you would take the square root. If it's blue, you would kind of have to press the blue there first. Okay, so anything you want in the blues there, you got to press the second, and then wherever it is, 144. It's a perfect square root, so that's gonna give you 12. Okay, so we got here square root of 144 is 12. And then of course these are also perfect roots, so 25 will be the 5, and then square root of 49 would be 7. So that's what I mean by rational. They're just a number that is, you know, a whole number, and a number you can just write. It stops, right? Separate from irrational. What does that mean? Well, if I take the square root of 150, sorry, what should that be? So that right there, let's go ahead and do this. Square root 150. It gives you an irrational number. It stops, but that's only because of the calculator. So that goes on forever. But if we're gonna just round it to the nearest tenth, it'll be 12.2. Okay. Same with the square root of 15 is going to give you an irrational number. Same with the square root of 29. It'll give you something irrational. So let me just go ahead and get that. 29. Okay. So rounded to the nearest tenth, this is going to be 3.9. And this is 5.4. There you go. Okay. So they are approximation, not exact. Okay, so perfect and non-perfect, these things. And then you should kind of know your first perfect squares, the first 12. So it's pretty straightforward. If this is it, just squaring that. 1 squared would be 1, 2 squared is 4, that'll be your 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, 121, and 144. Okay, and then just know that in order to get those back, if you would square this, you get this back. So if I would take the square root of this number, I would get that back. Take the square root of that number, I'll get that back. Take the square root of that number, okay, and so on and so on. So basically, you take the square root of these numbers, you get these numbers back. So that you square it here, square root back here. So they kind of undo each other, reverse process. Okay, so this is pretty good notes here. You want to make sure you have that and this, and then I'll be giving you the answers for these, you know, soon. I just want to see if you can just try to figure it out. Of course, also this is for your practice as well. So this is kind of pretty good notes here. Nice little video notes for PreCalc for base, exponents, and powers. All right.